Well, hello. Thank you for joining me today again on the Church History Trail. You're very welcome to the channel. And where we are is we're in the graveyard of Killinchy Parish Church. Now, I have done a number of videos here a while ago. I also covered a couple of graves here of two United Irishmen who were executed in Downpatrick and who are actually buried in the graveyard here. But that's not why we're here today. Today I want to talk to you about another gentleman, and his name is Robert Bruce, and he's buried in this graveyard. Now, he died in 1684, and so I'm going to take you up and let you see his grave. But Robert Bruce was the son of the Reverend Michael Bruce, who had been the minister of Killinchy in 1657 on the recommendation of the Reverend John Livingstone, who had sent him there as his replacement whenever John had to flee to Scotland because of the persecution. Now, in 1661, the Reverend Michael Bruce, that's Robert's father, was forced from the pulpit by the bishops, and he was forced to go on the run, becoming a famous field preacher in Scotland. And of course, he would have went back from Scotland to Ulster and Ulster to Scotland. But when he was banished, he chose the wild woods of Killinchy to end his days. But unfortunately, it didn't happen, because in 1689, the Irish drove Michael out of Ireland and back to Scotland. And Michael went to be the minister at Antwerp. And on the 27th of July 1690, the day of the Battle of Killiecrankie, which was part of the Scottish Williamite Wars, he was preaching in his church when he prophesied of the demise of Cleaverhouse. That's John Graham, also known as Bunny Dundee, who was the commander over the Scottish Jacobite forces. Here's what he said: "Cleaverhouse shall be cut short this day. I see him killed and lying a corpse." And although the Battle of Killiecrankie was a Jacobite victory, their commander, Cleaverhouse, was indeed cut down that day and left for dead on the battlefield. And you can see the sea there in the distance, because we are near the coast here at Killinchy. Now, the Reverend Michael Bruce, who made that prophecy, was born in 1635 and he died in 1693. And he's buried in Antwerp in the old graveyard. But Michael's grandson, who was also called Michael Bruce, was born in 1686. And in 1715, he was also ordained as a minister. And he was actually ordained at Holywood Presbyterian in County Down. And he died in 1735, and he's buried in Holywood Priory in the Bruce plot. And I have covered that grave. But the Bruce family has a big connection to Robert the Bruce, because Robert the Bruce is the family ancestor. That's the victor of Bannockburn in 1315. So amazing to think that Robert Bruce, who's buried here, has a connection with Robert the Bruce of Bannockburn. So fantastic. Now, obviously, you would think that that's where Robert got his name from his ancestor, Robert the Bruce. More than likely, I would assume. So what you have is, you have the original, the Reverend Michael Bruce, and he had three sons. His oldest son was called James, who was a minister, the Reverend James Bruce. And the Reverend James, one of his sons, was called Michael, who I mentioned, Michael Bruce, who also became a minister. That's the minister of Holywood. But James and Robert, who's buried here, were brothers. So that means that Robert, who's buried here, is actually an uncle of the Reverend Michael Bruce of Holywood. So incredible. Fantastic. As I say, the big connection with the Bruces and Robert the Bruce. And also, of course, a big connection with the Williamite Wars in Ireland and in Scotland, and the Battle of Killiecrankie, which was fought on the 27th of July 1690. So I'm going to take you up now and let you see the grave of Robert, and there's other Bruces buried in here too. Now, it's a bit hard to decipher, but I was able to make some of it out. on the headstone here, or the slab, and it's buried right beside the slab here is actually right beside the church, so he's buried right beside the entrance of the church. Now, I've passed this before and didn't realise, the last time I was here, I didn't realise that he was actually buried here. So quite amazing. So you can see it there. Very hard to decipher, but he's buried right beside the bell tower there. So I'll try and read this out to you best I can. It says, "Here lies the bodies of Robert Bruce," and the Bruce there is spelt with a V in the middle, "who died 17th of May, and you can just about actually see the 1684. It's very, very difficult to see. In fact, I had to take a picture of it and then zoom in to see it. And it would seem that he's aged 45 when he died. And then it says, Michael Bruce, son of Michael Bruce, and again spelt with a V. So really difficult to make out. As I say, I had to take a picture of it to try and decipher it, and some of it I couldn't even read. As you can see, very difficult, but still amazing to have this here. Absolutely fantastic. You can see Michael there and the 1684, if you can see that just above the M. Don't know what the 72's for there, if you can see that. Not sure what that's for. But that's the grave of Robert Bruce, who of course was related to the Robert the Bruce, the Scottish hero. So if you're ever in this church, have a wee look. So thanks for watching, and God bless.